Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan. For today, we have on the show, I mean, what can I say? It's basically a time that I get to spend with my heroes and legends here. I mean, what else can I ask? You know what I mean, guys? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love that. Now, before we start with this whole Actors Roundtable, before we start, I do want to thank those for watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. Leave me a comment. Let us know what you think about this epic chat. And without further more, let's jump in now. That being said, I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out this question, which is, what has surprised you the most about the profession of being an actor?
May I go first?
Yeah, of course. Whoever wants, go first.
It's like, man, it's so expensive to be an actor. It's one of the it's a horrible business. You have to keep on investing money constantly, continuously, and it's not like that you're investing so you're gonna get, like, after 20 years ago you're gonna get your, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20% or whatever. You don't know. It's a never-ending investment, and nothing guarantees anything. So that's something still surprising.
Yeah, and I think adding on to that, the thing that surprised me was not everybody wants to do this. I think before I started acting, I was like, why would people not want to act? It's so fun. You get to play, you get to work with other people, but doing it, I mean, I understand it's hard, it's expensive, it takes a lot of energy to dive into yourself, and yeah, it's not something that everyone wants to do.
I think for me, one of the most surprising things is just the overall journey and the overall path. Like, I think for most professions, it's like, hey, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer. There's a direct path to that opportunity. But with acting, it's sort of like throwing spaghetti at a wall sometimes. There's so many different ways to approach it and so many different paths to take. It would be nice if there was one, but to each their own.
I agree. I feel like it's in most fields, it's A to Z. So you do this and it gets you here. With acting, it's A to C to G. Now I'm at H. Okay, now I'm back to B. And it's this ongoing journey of always training your muscles, always taking classes, trying new things, trying different approaches. And just, it's this very up and down journey.
Yeah, and to go along with that, because you think you make it, or you see, like, when maybe it's just like the naive way of thinking, but like when you see people when they're in different TV shows or different things like that, like, oh yeah, they've made it. But then that's not always the case, because it's such a stop and go business. Like, sometimes it's really, really fast and you're very relevant, and then things slow down and it's like, well, there's nothing going on. Or it's just, you see people a lot all around and then somehow they disappear, and it's like, well, where did this actor go? I used to see him in a lot of things, but it's just such a stop and go business, and start trying to stay relevant. So I guess, especially, like, for example, Brendan Fraser, we haven't seen him forever, and then he wins an Oscar. Like, it's just crazy how life takes us, especially in this business and being an actor. It's not always consistent all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Brendan Fraser was out like 10 years, 12 years, something like that, right? I think like his last movie was in 2004, I think, 5, something like that. Yeah, it's crazy. And then he just won an Oscar recently. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Now, moving on here a little bit, tell me, is there any kind of character that you would refuse to play, maybe because the type of message is something that you believe, perhaps?
I know for one that I tried to blur up my background. I have a little shrine to, like, the last play I did, Tony and Tina's Wedding. But for example, like something like that where it's comedy, I can get behind that. But when it comes to like, say, playing a serial killer, I don't want to be in that headspace. So I just more recently, I've kind of decided, okay, the roles I want to do are comedy, so that's what I'm going to stick to. I don't want to, and I get so into the mind frame of a character that I really don't want to be in like a serial killer's mind frame, for example. That's not what I want to do. So that's where I draw the line.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines, have started discerning kind of exactly that, like what headspace I want to be in, because I go really deep into the character and emulate it and go full into it. And there are some, like you say, like a serial killer, or I don't know, various forms of abuse that maybe I don't want to experience in the inadvertent way. So things like that. I think if there's a story with a prominent message and it's giving a very positive message, and maybe there's some kind of negative, something that the negative that a character has to do, I could work around that if it was for a bigger picture. But yeah, in general, I want to be careful with what I put my mind to and expose myself to that way.
I think, if the overall message of a show is like morally wrong versus like a character, that's something to consider for sure. Because just because a character, you could be the villain, and that's not necessarily something that I wouldn't play. But if there was more to it in regards to the overall message of the show or the film, I think that could affect things.
Okay. Anyone else? Or should we just move to the next one?
Well, I mean, I could probably always say something, but I guess for me, it would always be like the why. Like, for me, I feel like there's like 3 things of why of doing any role, and that would be like, if it's people that you want to work with, like the director, or just somebody that you're like, oh yeah, I would love to work with them, I want to learn from them, and then that'd be like a reason to say yes to a project. And then another reason would be if the material, the story, or what is being told speaks to you, you have like that connection, or maybe it's the role that you're like, oh yeah, this is me, like I was like born to play this. That would be another reason why. But I wouldn't say yes to a project in this. I felt, ask myself, why do I want to do this? What are we trying to tell with the story? How do I see myself in this? What does that mean about my brand? That kind of thing. Like, because you don't want to say yes to everything, because it's not always going to be you or what you fit with or what you believe in. So definitely stick to what you know and what stays true to you, for sure.
I will add that also something. I mean, I was listening to you guys, and I don't know, it's such a unique and great opportunity actually to be an actor and to allow myself to experience or find a connection with a character that that is so far from my own personality, experiences, beliefs. That's what I find interesting and playful, actually. And I mean, after all, we are all humans, and they are also all humans. And whoever, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I never spoke with a serial killer, but they probably know that they're doing something like that is not acceptable. But do they think of themselves as like do they hate themselves? I mean, maybe they do, but they're still humans, right? That there is something humane in them. So I would love to, I am interested in, like, there is one Serbian movie. It's called Serbian Movie. It's the most horrible movie I've ever seen, and really great actors in the movie, like very well-known actors are in that movie. And I'm like, oh my God, how could, like, oh my God, like it's horrible. It's just like disgusting, horrible. But I mean, probably I wouldn't even be casted for so many different roles because I'm not a good fit. Um, but I don't know if I would refuse an opportunity.
You know, I once interviewed someone who was gonna play a serial murderer, but here's the thing: the real serial murderer was actually convicted. So he was in jail. So he told me that he actually, got a chance to really speak with him and to actually, try to figure it out, like the whole thing. And he told me that he was terrifying, knowing that you're gonna play him, that he's actually in front of you, and that even though that it was a very challenging experience at the end, yeah, like during the process, it was yeah, that it took him months to kind of release that character, like that character away and return to be like the real him, in a matter of speaking. Because because even though that it was a movie, the fact that he was gonna play most of the things that he did, and he was telling them in front of them, like that feeling was super scary, and also it was super challenging. So I mean, if I was an actor, I wouldn't do something like that. I would be like, no, 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 or who knows? But yeah, I mean, that must have been like super, challenging or things like that. So yeah,
You mean like it consumes you, right? It can consume.
yeah, I would assume. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that maybe like at some point, I mean, even know that you're in a safe environment, right? You're on the set, you're playing it. I mean, even though that is a safe environment, your body can't tell the difference. That is not real. You know what I mean? Like your body can't actually tell you that that this is not real. I mean, your body's feeling it. So I would assume that parts of that will stick with you, and if you don't take like a proper exit way to continue to be like the real you, let's say, it can affect you on your personal life, which is my next question. That do you guys take your characters home, and has that ever affected you in a negative way?
Hell, for sure. I mean, what you said about taking it with you and how you truly believe you are that, and you have to kind of undo it. I do have that situation or that experience where I have to like mentally spend some time alone after an ongoing performance and like tell myself that was fake. That's not like I actually have to go through this like shedding of a character when we wrap. And it's different though for okay, it's hard to say because it's different for like if you're doing theater, you're in that character all night. So then you go home, and I always find in the car ride home, I'm like, okay, shedding that. You're going home, you're going into your house. You are not that person. Like, shed that. I mentally have to tell myself to do that. But for film and TV, I find because it's so start and stop, and on set, we're breaking out of that character every time the director calls cut or there's a technical issue and they're remiking you or giving you touch-ups on your makeup or hair, you're going back to you. So I feel like it's not as hard to go back to me at the end of the day because I've been me so many times throughout the day. But if you're doing a stage play and it's 4 hours of being this other character without breaking, that's where I find afterwards I have to like mentally remind myself afterwards, like shake it off, go home, be you. That was all fake. So yeah, that was a really good question. Sorry to blab, but yeah, there are definitely times where it is tough.
I think part of being an actor too is like doing the homework and going to class and like learning different techniques to letting that go, because yeah, it can, like when you get really deep into a character, it can be hard to let it go. And so I think taking all the right steps is very important. But the opposite of that too is that acting in itself is very cathartic. You know, there's different emotions that you get to feel and experience as different characters, and sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not so great. So I think it's just kind of all part of it, to be honest.
And I think with that, it's making sure that you're taking care of yourself. So like you said, going to classes and making sure you know the techniques to get yourself out of these headspaces and feelings of the character. And I've been in some situations where like my autonomic nervous system took over, and in the moment, and I wasn't in a safe space, and that definitely took a couple of months to kind of work to get back to my stable main self, because sometimes you do go to places that are very extreme, and sometimes your body doesn't know. So really making sure that you are in a safe space, taking care of yourself, and making sure everyone else around knows that as well, so that you're not alone in these challenging situations.
May I ask you a question, Laia?
Laia, yeah.
Danielle, is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, Laia. What did you mean by safe space? What is a safe space for you?
Well, just making sure that like all of the rest of the cast and crew are on the same page if you're going into a really deep, difficult scene. Making sure that you're on the same page as far as communication with them, so that if you do need connection with them, that they're there for you, and that there's not, I don't know, a different understanding, them thinking that you just need your space, you're going into a difficult place just to leave you alone, but no, maybe that's not what you need. And so I think just owning the space in those scenes, and making sure that you're communicating with everyone that's around. I had a situation where I was doing a scene, and all my preparation and everything put me into a full-on panic attack, but everyone thought I was just acting, and I was told afterwards that they were told not to look at me, not to interact with me, because I was dealing with a difficult scene. But that's not what I needed at that time. So it was a good learning to make sure that I own the space and ask for what I need.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's why I wanted to ask, because I think it's important to talk about safe space.
Mm-hmm.
There is enough conversation about it in general. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Josh? What do you think, man?
Well, I was just going to say, because this is why mental health is so important, especially with us actors. We bring out a lot of, if depending on the technique, and because we use different tools in our wheelhouse to get what we need to do to bring out something that's going to move people in a different way, or in a certain way. And so I always like to meditate, practice mindful meditation, that kind of stuff, but any kind of mental health practices that keep us kind of in the reality of where we actually are, versus because acting is imaginary circumstances, but bringing them forth and telling a story, but being able to just keep ourselves and our minds in check, and so that we don't cross a bad line, or go too far to where like have a panic attack, for example, is not good. But being able to have those tools of mental health and practice those is always good.
Yeah, I would assume that is like super important, right? To take that into consideration. I mean, for some people might think that acting is just learn your lines and you're good to go. You know what I mean? And I find amazing like the whole, like how deep like an actor or actress can go into create this character, any type of character, right? I mean, we have seen it like multiple times in shows, theater, or films, that they will go like the extra mile, which is amazing, but we don't know how, like in their personal life, how much it might affect them if they don't take like a necessary, like a healthy procedure or like something like that, in order to be back on track, and not let this extra mile they went for, or like this deep character they played, to not affect them, So yeah, I find that really, really interesting. Now, do you feel that as actors, wait, I just lost the question. There you go, I found it. So do you feel as actors that you're not doing something meaningful enough, or like there is a purpose to it?
May I speak?
Yeah.
I think it's extremely meaningful for my own personal life, honestly, because like a couple of years ago, I started my cleaning company, residential cleaning company, and there is so much meaning in that type of work because I'm directly influencing people's lives, and I really love serving people. It's an extremely rewarding job, but and at certain moments I did ask myself, okay, you know, maybe I don't need to be an actor. Maybe I'm not an actor because this is owning a business really makes me so happy. Um, and I'm getting that not just attention, but I'm getting that reward that usually very often as actors we don't get that reward of, you know, feeling accomplished because it's such a lonely job. It can be very lonely, but then as time is going, I'm realizing like, no, man, no, like other jobs, any other career in life is it's just, you know it, if that is you, and like maybe you're not going to become very successful, maybe whatever, I don't know what's going to happen with a career, but I think that being an actor is, it's really a way of being, first of all, how you perceive the world, your interest of everything, your never ending interest of learning, and nothing like, no, I don't think that there is no other profession in this world that would manage to feed, or you know, that hunger for that kind of expression. Anyways, so that's just my perspective.
I mean, I think there's definitely a purpose to being an actor. There's lots of purposes. I think, you know, there's so many things that we learn just from watching movies or TV shows, and like beyond learning like factual things, I guess, depending on what you're watching, it's you learn about being a human, you know, what kind of human you are, what kind of humans you're watching, the experiences that they go through, and what you can relate to in your personal life. And I think people in general, you know, take a lot of what we see on TV and we learn from that. And so I think that's a great gift as an actor, is to be able to make those connections, not only like through your scene partners and your fellow cast and crew and everyone that you're working with to make the story, but also with the audience that gets to watch the film or the TV show that you're making. It's definitely a unique profession.
I agree that there's a lot of meaning in it. I feel like out of all the jobs I've done in my life or continue to take on, that it's the one where you connect with people the most on a really like kind of soul level. You tell people stories, people are at home watching those and connecting to that and feeling seen. So yeah, to me it's one of the most meaningful things that I've been able to do over some of the other jobs that I've maybe done over the years. But yeah, it's very meaningful. It's our stories.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, many actors get to give a voice to people and who don't have a voice, and that gets shared with everyone. I think that's really important. And then just on a personal level, just the collaboration that it entails to tell the story, and all the work that goes behind it to bring it to fruition is so rewarding.
Yeah, I think well, I always think of the Stan Lee quote that you know, that how important entertainment is, because if people didn't have entertainment, they'd go off the deep end. You know, people would go crazy because with the stories that we tell, and you know, with television and film, you know, like I just agree with what everyone's said, because it's just a place to learn, to grow, to experience, to escape. that was one of the biggest things for me. Is as a kid, I come from a really small town, and going to the movies was like a big deal. Like I got to, sorry, I might get a little emotional, but like it was the time to get away from like the bad things in life and to, you know, go see dinosaurs, you know, in real life. Like it's just like just cool things of getting out of the bad things in life and finding a way to escape that. Is just is beautiful, and be able to tell amazing stories is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that you know, like a quick example is like without entertainment, we couldn't have gone through the whole pandemic stuff, for example, right? I mean, since it was a lockdown, I mean, you know, everybody inside here. I mean, yeah, like the whole. I think that specific moment is when everyone started to appreciate more, like the whole, you know, TV shows, films, and like all of that. And I find that I think that perhaps that was kind of necessary somehow, you know, to for us to appreciate that, because I do think that sometimes we tend to not appreciate things because sometimes we take things for granted, you know. But when that happened and there were no cinemas, everything was closed, no restaurants, no clubs, no nothing, and then entertainment came to the rescue basically and gave us lots of stories, you know, to have fun with, or to speak up with friends. And I find that really amazing. That is that entertainment at the end, I mean, besides, yeah, teaching you something new or give you an idea or something, or even inspires you, yeah, at the same time it can escape you from perhaps like a very deep moment you're living through at that time, you know. That it can perhaps give you like a break to it, and that is amazing. And I do think that sometimes we take it for granted, but when we realize, I mean, it is necessary in our society. So, you know. Yeah. Now, what has been your toughest moment so far as an actor? Who wants to go first?
People telling me they don't believe in me as an actor. I think that's probably a common one that most actors have to face at some point in their career. I hope that they don't. But you know, there are people that are doubters, if you will, and it's hard. It's hard to trust yourself and, you know, follow the path that you want to follow with people kind of putting you down. And beyond the expense of being actor, beyond, you know, the slim percentage of success of being an actor, like there's a lot of rejection in the industry, but I think especially more so for actors. I don't know many people that, you know, work for free, essentially doing auditions and whatnot, you know, never to get paid until you book that one project. But yeah, I think the whole thing is kind of hard, but that's why we have to love it to do it, right?
Who's next?
I can jump on what was just said, because yeah, that's like a daily thing of it. That's why it's so nice to talk to fellow actors, because they get it, they understand. Like we all understand the struggle. We can connect, we can talk about the thing that we love so much, because you know, other people that aren't maybe in the industry, they don't get it as much. They're kind of out of that, like how hard it really is, because yeah, it's a struggle. It's a struggle financially, you know, and I know a bunch of other things, but we love it so much that we take that grind and we just keep doing it, because it's like it's just living. It's living. It's great. It's just so great, and the joy when you're able to do it, and then see the joy in other people as you're doing it, is just that's the feeling that keeps us doing it. You know, we just keep going through that grind of pulling something great out of us somehow, and entertaining people is just it's fulfilling. It's really what it is.
Yeah, the hustle is real.
Yeah, right.
Actor, the hustle is real. and two, like when I know I say, you know, people not believing in you or me as an actor, but like also your self-doubt too. Like
Yeah.
I want to say it's probably one of the hardest things to get through and get over. And I say get over, but it like keeps creeping back in every so often. You know, you're like, yeah, I can do this. And then you do something else and you're like, can I do this? Am I a good actor? And do I have talent? Like, I don't know anymore, you know? And I think that in itself is a huge struggle. However, that being said, I feel like I want to say almost everyone experiences it. And I remember watching this interview with Tom Hanks and Viola Davis. And I think Tom Hanks was saying like, I'm just waiting for someone to realize that I'm an imposter, you know? And I was like, are you kidding me? Tom Hanks feels like imposter syndrome. So that made me feel a little better. So just know that other people feel that way too. That's all I have to say.
I will take that story with me, Allison, because I've never seen that interview. So yeah, if Tom Hanks feels that, it must never really go away for anyone. And I think that's the hardest part. And it's also such a like choose your own adventure industry where there isn't always a wake up, go to work 9 to 5, and that's where you do your work. It's set out, it's not set out for you like that. So there's always that self-doubt of, am I taking on the right projects? Am I prioritizing my time right? Sometimes for a lot, like for any of us who wear multiple hats in the industry, sometimes, you know, on something you'll choose to be a producer, but then that takes away from time you can be acting. So then you think, am I prioritizing the right things in this industry? Am I trying to wear too many hats? And am I getting away from the thing that I really wanted to be doing? So yeah, there's always these questions about like, am I doing it right? Like, what is the answer? What is the path I'm supposed to be taking? And it always feels like a choose your own adventure novel, which can be thrilling and fun, but also can create some anxiety.
Yeah, and it's hard because I've experienced that too. Actually, I do produce as well. And so you get in your head and you're like, am I prioritizing the right things? I'm incapable of saying no to things personally, so that makes it hard for me. But I had a friend once who was a producer, and he told me this story, which I can tell you the long version of later. But basically he said, you know, go where the wind takes you and where you feel is your true path, because there are so many different paths. And if you spend your time like, you know, worrying about, is this right or is this wrong? It's just going to take you that much longer to get there. And so I'm not the best at it, but every time I find myself in those positions, I kind of try to remind myself, you know, just breathe. If life is taking you in this direction, it's for a reason. And it doesn't mean you're not going to come back to this other part of your life, you know? So I don't know if that helps, but there you go.
Yeah, I think outwardly other people in your life too try to decide for you. They'll make comments like, oh, so you're doing this now, so you quit acting, or you gave up on that, or oh, you're not doing that anymore. But you have to stay confident in your, you know, your knowledge that no, this is all part of the full like journey of it. It's not giving up on one thing for another. It's I'm still that. I'm focusing on this right now. So it's yeah, it's just, I guess, learning for yourself and finding out for yourself as you go how all encompassing this is, and how it's really like a journey throughout your whole life. It's not like I'm this or I'm this and now I'm doing this. It's really, this is still who I am. I'm just focusing on this right now.
Yeah, and I think there's different things too that you learn from being a multi-hyphenate, and you learn, you know, you're still, whether you're acting or producing or behind the camera or whatever it is, you're still learning. You're learning about storytelling. You're learning about, you know, different skills in the industry. You're making new connections and friendships and relationships. And so I think, you know, it's hard to say one way is right and one way is not. Like, I think there's lots of different ways to get there, and it is possible to be a multi-hyphenate. I know a lot of people think that that's not a possibility either. But I think especially in this day and age, it's more of a reality, I think, than not, you know, with technology and everything. So to each their own, just follow your heart and do what you think feels right for you, you know.
And I think in that is like learning to be gentle with myself, because it is such a daily grind with such infrequent reward. And it can be very isolating, like if there are times when you're only auditioning through self-tape and you're at home and you're like, what am I doing? I'm just trying to keep going, but not knowing which direction, but just every day trying to keep it going, but just to be gentle and figure out ways, you know, that you can connect with others. And if there's slow times, that's okay. If there are times you have to step away and do something else, and doesn't mean that you have given up. It's just a journey, and I think that isn't always understood by others, but it's been important for me to find that gentleness within myself, and this is my path, and it's okay.
Yeah, and I always believe in like being a well-rounded actor, because I feel like it just makes you better when you've dabbled a little bit in writing. I've done a lot of writing myself, but like being able to know how to be a director and all that kind of stuff, but being able to experience different things just makes you better in like, oh yeah, so I know, you just understand the world of filmmaking, because it takes a village to make whatever we're trying to tell, this story, but understanding how all these moving parts work just makes you a better actor, and understanding that, because then you're like, it makes you more of a professional and how that all works and everything. And it can be overwhelming and that time of pulling you away from, wanting to be mostly an actor. But I think it does just add different layers to our acting ability for sure.
All right. What about you, Martina? Do you have something to say? What do you think?
Do I have what? Excuse me?
Yeah, do you want to add also to the question?
Oh, what was actually the question? Totally forgot.
I just forgot it. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, what has been your toughest moment as an actor so far? Was that a question? Yeah, question.
No, there was no single moment that I can point out.
Okay.
I think it's mindset. Like at this stage where I'm at now, it's just mindset, because as Laia, right?
Laia.
Was saying, and I mean everyone else as well. I mean it can be a very lonely place to be. So, and it's not always, well, as such as in anything, if you want to be successful, you have to be organized and committed. It's a skill. You don't think, just do. It's a hygiene. Keep on doing it. I myself, I can say that, like, for example, I started like 3 days ago. I started, okay, every day, like I'm doing something that I'm working on right now. I've been doing it, and today I allowed myself, like, okay, I'm gonna do it like in 45 minutes. Okay, just let me finish this. No, if you dedicated time to do it at this time, do it. Nothing else matters. It's too many, like, life. I think that I can actually just talk about myself, is that I've made too many compromises. So far, and I'm hoping that I'm not gonna be making as many anymore in the future. I'm gonna fight for myself with everything that I have. Anyways, but that doesn't really answer your question again, but it is something that I want to share.
No. Something that I want to also add to that is that basically you guys are basically made for war. Like, because what I've discovered with this whole platform, which which by the way, in 1 month is going to be 2 years now. But anyway, is
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. I'm going to throw this huge party live, but anyway, moving on. What I'm trying to say here is back when I started with this platform, I didn't realize this huge amount of actors that were really there. You know what I mean? That I just, since I was just not into, just a regular person watching like blockbuster stuff here and there. But when I started this, then I started to discover this huge amount of actors that are around. And what gets me inspired, to be honest, is the fact that you are still doing it. That no matter what, you're still pushing, you're still showing that I booked this, I did this, this is what I'm gonna do now. Like yeah, it's incredible. And that's why I say that to me, you guys are basically made for war, because I mean, I would assume that it's not easy at all, and like especially like with the whole auditioning part and being rejected, that 6 months have passed and you're still sending auditions and nothing happened. I mean, like all those type of situations and frustration moments at the same time, but you're still doing it. And no matter how challenging or tough your personal life might be at that moment, when you get to book something, you just put that behind and you give us your best performance to us, the audience. And I think that's badass. So that's why I say to everyone, that is basically a badass, because yeah, it's incredible. So just wanted to add that real quick. Now, let's say, right, that you get the chance to change one thing about the film industry. What would it be and why?
I know, I'll be short. This one is going to be short, I promise. We live in an age of diversity, inclusion. What about actors with accents, like such as myself? There's so many of us. I want to see more of that. That's what I want, and I'm working on it. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I would say more accountability because when you go to a regular workplace, you have your HR department. So even if people are being fake, they're being respectful. I've seen way too many things on set, behavior-wise, that don't happen in other workplaces that I've been a part of. And I see those people continue to work on different projects. So I would just hope that, and there are so many people that treat people respectfully and kind, and I've made so many friends in film and TV over the years. But yeah, there's just every show or every movie, not every single one, but most of the majority of them, there's these behaviors you see and you're like, or someone says something and you're like, you wouldn't say that in any other workplace. Why is it okay here? Because we're going to be wrapped in 5 days. Yeah, so I think a lot of that has changed over the last few years, maybe the last 5-6 years after the Me Too movement. But there have been things where, yeah, some situations where it's just like, that wouldn't go down anywhere else. You wouldn't talk like that to people anywhere else. So I would like to see that continue to progress and change, and women be treated, and everyone be treated with respect.
I think I said this in my other interview with you, but I really would like to see lower work hours in a day for people. I just think it's ridiculous that 12-hour day is a normal minimum work day for people, because that doesn't include driving time. It doesn't include, like for producers, like emailing people when you get back and like prepping things for the next day. And I just think it's really a big safety issue personally. And yeah, I think we need to really reevaluate that, as well as equal pay for everyone. I mean, like, who's to say that one person's skilled job is more valuable than another person's skilled job? We need to be paying people fair, livable wages, which I think, I don't know like everyone's age here, but I feel like my generation has really suffered a lot financially because of inflation and all those things. And so I just think, yeah, less hours on set and equal pay would be great.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got two things. One, kind of similar to what Trish was saying. Like, I have hated the phrase that show business because it has such a bad, you know, like something bad happens or someone does something that's just like really, and it's like, oh, that's show business. But it's like it doesn't need to be that way. Like, show business can be better for people, have a better experience. It can be more loving, more caring, more like it doesn't need to feel so stressful. Like, you know, like you don't want a hostile work environment, and it shouldn't be like that, especially if we're creatives, because if we're relaxed and like, you know, in a good space or get good safe space, we're going to be able to give our best performance, create better, I feel like. And so we need a healthy work environment to do our best work. So that redefining what show business or that show business, like what that means or what that is. And my second thing is having more affordable opportunities, which is, I don't have to share it now, but I've been trying to create communities of opportunity for people to be able to have more experiences in creating a short film or really just telling stories and, you know, giving people the opportunities to do those things. Because I think there's so, especially now with so much streaming services and different things that are available to people, and there's still stories that don't get made or movies that don't get made. Like, there's still, even though there's so much available, there's still so much that's not being made. And I feel like there's needs to be affordable way of giving people the opportunity to share their stories and share their voices.
Okay. Anybody else before moving on? I guess we're moving on then. Now, if you couldn't act, what would you pursue? Who's first?
I would either be a chef or a travel blogger or both, because I like to eat and I like to travel, and that sounds like a great life.
Yeah, I have to agree with Allison. Like that was my two things would be definitely a chef, because I love food as well. I love to eat. Like, I have like ideas of like what kind of, I would love to do like those food reality shows where you just get to travel, because, you know, like see the world, but then like taste the world. Oh man, just be great. But then I also love music, because that's like I'd totally be a musician if I could play more and write songs and stuff, because I think that's another way of like touching people's souls is through music, because, you know, movies also move us, but then music layered on top of that and also does that too, which is great. But yeah, definitely like yeah, musician, chef, all that. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I would love to be like a university or college professor and teach something that I'm passionate about and love. Or yeah, I like the travel the world thing. I recently applied like on a whim to be a flight attendant, because I thought it would be a fun change to just pick up and travel. I got declined. They actually sent me an email that I was declined, so at least I know that's moving on. But yeah, traveling sounds awesome, and food. Let's just all do that. Let's all.
Yeah, let's do it now.
Allison's plan. I like that a lot.
Let's open up a travel agency.
Okay, sounds great. As long as we can do ones to travel and
Yeah, of course. That's why we're not gonna be a real good business, but that's for another conversation.
yeah, whatever.
Let's do it. I
Minor
love that.
details.
Yeah. Right.
And I'd
Anybody
like
else?
to tag onto
Huh?
that. Well, I've always wanted to be a pilot. I don't think, yeah, I've never pursued it or looked into it. I don't think I would have the right qualifications and everything for it, but I've always wanted to fly, and I thought that would be fun. But yeah, definitely traveling to try food, try fruits. That would be a dream.
As soon as a group trip coming after this interview.
I know.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's pretty cool. I love
That
that.
is- I want to add that that might be one of the reasons why we like being actors, because it allows us, for a moment to be somebody else and experience something different. Completely live somebody else's life, which is great. And that is one of the things that I regret most about life, is that we can only be, one thing in this life. Okay, some people are mothers and business owners and, like, I don't know, successful athletes or whatever, but like, that's one thing that I regret about life, that it can't really be like, I can't be the best whatever athlete, Olympic winner, and at the same time pursuing acting career, and then at the same time be a stay-at-home mother with 3 children, like all of these things that I would want to be an experience in life. Like, I would love to be a detective as well. So I don't know if I were not who I am. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I like that. I like all of that. I would like to become an astronaut, but I think that would be a little impossible right now. But who knows? But I like that.
Become an actor, and then you can maybe play one.
You know what?
Yes.
You know what? Fun enough, a couple of days ago, I was just doing some stuff here and there, and then this little thought came into my head saying, like, what if you become an actor? And I was just like thinking about it, like, wait a second, that actually, I have interviewed a lot of actors now, so I can make up like a manual of how of things that I should do and things that I shouldn't do, right? So I was just thinking about it. I was like, wouldn't that be interesting? So who knows? Maybe when I go to Canada, I will give it a shot at some point. It's never too late. That would be interesting, to see myself on the. Yeah, who knows? As I said, I was the other day having like that bug in my head, like, what if I try it? Like, I already have the worst outcome, which is nothing right now, so I don't have nothing, like nothing to lose. So yeah, maybe when I'm in Canada, I will definitely be giving a shot. Who knows? Maybe, the star is the limit. The sky is the limit. Who knows? Maybe at some point I will appear in a Marvel film. Who knows? We'll see. That would be cool.
Yes.
That would be badass. Now, is there a film that you saw recently that has changed your way of thinking about something?
I wouldn't say it like changed my way of thinking, but I guess it kind of did. But it more like magnified a thought or a thing that I've been thinking about, and it's just like, yeah, that is it. So I don't want to give too many spoilers, because I saw Guardians of the Galaxy like 3 times, like, just great film. Okay, cried a bunch, just bawled my eyes out because it's such a great story. But like the deep meaning of it is like the really sad parts and hard things that we go through in life kind of create us or make us something or who we are later on. And then, like, as an actor, sometimes we go through really, we talk about the struggle that we always go through every day, but some of that stuff that we go through that we can maybe use later on. Where we are now isn't where we're always going to be, but we can use that for telling another story maybe, and pull from our experiences and lives and things. But going through those hard times do craft us and shape us into the person that we're, or shape us as a person, and more of something that we're, destined to be, or as we go through, we're always becoming a different person, and we can use that with the stories that we tell, and different things. But it shapes us as a person.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy was dope. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
Yes, it was. And that was going to be the movie that I was going to say too. But I also don't want to give any spoilers. So I'll just say that, I mean, there's lots of films that I personally have like taken little nuggets of information or learned lessons from. But yeah, I think right now I just wish I had more time to watch movies. I don't know, life is busy. It's busy. So maybe that's my real lesson, is to make more time for self-care and watching movies.
Yes, yep. That's a great lesson. It's, yeah, when you go to, well, there we go. We need the shorter days, because when you're on set with travel time, as you mentioned, it can be like 17 hours. Then you have to sleep. There's no time for movies. Last night I started to watch a documentary on infinity and what it means. And it was blowing my mind. And I was like, I think I need to be high to watch this. So I'm going to watch true crimes. Then I watched a show about a woman who was a serial killer. And she was in her 80s, and she buried like 9 bodies in her backyard, and she was inviting people to live in her home. And she was like fostering kittens. And the big line in the show was, that really got me, was, I thought she was a really nice person. She was fostering kittens, or she had like a box of kittens. But then she was poisoning people and killing them. And yeah, that's what I've been watching. And my takeaway is like to not trust anyone. And maybe that's why I answered the serial killer thing today. I'm like really freaked out by this story, but I can't look away. Yeah, I'm a true crime fan, so that's what I'm watching at the moment.
Anyone else?
I recently watched The Banshees of Inisherin, and didn't change how I thought of things, but first of all, it's such a good movie. But it just got me thinking about the simplicity of life, and I've kind of felt like I was in a rat race recently, and just kind of going on with this daily grind, and just going back to what matters and the connections that we have, and focusing on the little things, and just kind of going back to that simplicity. I thought it was beautifully told in that movie.
Yeah, I like that. Did you guys watch Triangle of Sadness? You haven't? 10 out of 10. Someone that I interview recommend me that film, and yeah, it's amazing. It's basically, I mean, without giving too much, but it's basically, I mean, I'm trying to say it without spoilers, because I'm the type of guy that whenever someone asks me what do you think about this film, I tend to ruin it, say the spoiler. So I'm super careful right now without spoiling. Yeah, I'm gonna mess it up. So just watch it. Triangle of Sadness. It's amazing. It's really, yeah, it's epic. And the Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, it's cool too. Fun story. And I'm not gonna give anything away. I'm sure of it. A friend of mine, when we were gonna watch the film, at that moment I was having like a very, kind of a very sad day, and he was telling me, you know what, you should, we should like switch, see other film. I was like, why? Just warning. And I was like, I don't care, I want to see it. And yeah, it's amazing. And I think I gave something away. But anyway, moving on here. My last question. My last question here is, if we could describe this whole episode we just did, but on a film, how should we call it? Take your time.
Lessons learned, an actor's tale. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we talked a lot about getting through difficult times. I know we talked about financial stuff, how this profession is expensive, and it's like, it's draining, it's hard, it's emotionally difficult at times, and we're handling rejection, but overcoming the actor's grind, the inspiring actors through the grind. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Inspiration. There you go. Yes, we're in it together, the actors. There you go. I can keep going. I can just
Go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
You're good at this.
Or how about, if in doubt, eat and travel?
There we go. I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, that's gonna be the title of this video. So,
Eat and
Keep going and travel the world.
Future food travel actor bloggers.
Okay. So, which one is it gonna be? Because I'm a little bit confused now.
Can we combine all of them and make it an essay title?
Yeah.
About
Big
What about-
paragraph?
eat, travel, act. It's like eat, love, pray, but eat, travel.
I love that
Travel
one.
act. Yes.
Eat,
Okay.
travel.
I love it. That's
Eat-
good.
Eat, travel, act.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's okay. So that's a winner. I like that.
Eat, travel,
Yeah.
act.
Eat, travel, act. Yeah, I like it.
Act. Oh, I want to buy that book. That's I gotta have that book. That's on my list now.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, who knows? Maybe at some point I can make a book out of this. Should be fun.
Yeah. That's
I like
good.
that.
Book,
Make a
movie.
book.
I gotta see the movie. I gotta get the book.
And the t-shirts.
Yes, t-shirt.
Absolutely. I need merchandise. We need merchandise on this. Absolutely.
Hats, magnets, stickers. We need it all.
All of it. That's for sure. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. So that's good. So we got a title there. I mean, at the end, what can I say, guys? I mean, it's incredible what you guys do. And yeah, I loved it. I love each and every one of how you do your work here. I mean, you guys are incredible here, and like whenever I would get these moments that I want to quit, which happen, every now and then. I just watch a little bit of either what you're doing here and there, and instantly get like, come on, if they're doing it, get up and keep working too. Because they're actually doing something. Why not keep trying you as well? Because as I said, I do think that what you guys do, it's incredible. It's I mean, you're not just giving us entertainment. You're also showing us that it is possible. That actually dreams can come true. Of course, there's this huge amount of work that tends to be a pain in the butt, absolutely, and moments in which you will doubt yourself if you are good enough or not. But either way, you are still doing it, and that's like badass. I'm just rambling right now, but basically that's what I'm gonna say. So I want to thank those who watched this episode, those who stayed here the whole time. Thank you so much. As I said at the beginning, don't forget to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. What you think about this conversation. If you want to add something else, let me know in the comments. Join the conversation, basically. And again, guys, thank you so much for making this happen. Keep creating, keep killing it. But most importantly, keep being this incredible badass of a people you are, because you are definitely our super badass every single day. But most important, remember that every single day it's a beautiful day because we basically have you guys. You know what I mean? Like, what else can I ask? And so yeah, that's everything for today. But also in the description below, you're gonna find the description for all of these amazing talented people. Let's follow them on their social. Let's share some love. Hashtag Team Martina, hashtag Team Trish, hashtag Team Allison, hashtag Team Laia, and hashtag Team Yoshi, because you guys are incredible. And that's it.
And also subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already.
Oh yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Did you hear? Come on.
Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah. Follow
Love it.
Dan.